CPP students aren't the only ones making changes in their education. CPP professors had to completely change to online teaching and finding ways to deal being in quarantine.
Life in quarantine has definitely been hard. From a work perspective, I've had to transition classes that I never intended to teach online and completely transform them to a digital environment, which has entailed changing up assignments and in-class activities that no longer worked. I've had to figure out ways to engage students during lecture and class session when I often can no longer see them face to face. And most importantly, I've had to figure out ways to be there for students and help them through assignments and exams when they are often facing other challenges like job loss, changes in housing, or lack of access to quality internet connection or technology during this time. That's been the hardest part as a professor, hearing my students' stories about challenges they're facing and not being able to help them like I can through a writing assignment. However, I'm trying to do everything I can, even if that's just by scheduling as many Zoom office hour appointments as I can in one day, or if I can't, then trying to find someone who can help them. From a personal perspective, this has also been a really hard time on my family. My wife works in the sport industry, which has obviously been hit hard during this time, and we don't know when things will start back up again. We also have an 8-month-old daughter who is teething and loves to climb on everything, and caring for her between teaching online classes, research, and other service responsibilities, meetings, and large numbers of emails has been challenging, especially since her daycare is closed. You'll often hear her in the background of my Zoom lectures, as well as my 2 dogs. Finally, my mom back in my hometown in Florida is fighting a losing battle with ALS. She's lost her ability to speak and to walk, and her lung function is now at 40%. I want to be there for her so badly, but she is one of the vulnerable populations susceptible to COVID, and her lungs are already compromised because of ALS. So getting out to her all the way in Florida while minimizing her chance of exposure is especially difficult. However, in spite of all these challenges, a lot of positives have come out of quarantine for me too. I'm so appreciative of this time I have with my daughter and my wife right now. And this time with them every day has kept me going. Yeah, I'm so thankful for technologies like FaceTime and Zoom that allow me to stay connected with my mom and family back in Florida, as well as my colleagues whom I also miss so very much. And I'm inspired every day by my students, their ability to push forward in spite of these circumstances and still produce really great work, as well as their ability to display positivity during these trying times. I really and truly hope I've helped them during all of this, even if it's just by providing a distraction from COVID. But I want them to know they've really helped me too.
And how am I dealing with the quarantine? Well, I'm reading a lot and taking a lot of walks, and have quite a bit of Zoom time, as I'm sure many people do. I'm thinking a lot about my curriculum and my courses for the fall, and doing some redesigning and rethinking about how to make them work on Zoom if we are indeed going to be virtual for the entire semester. Trying to stay active by going outside, trying to volunteer, trying to support the charities that I feel really strongly about, and also trying to support our students, thinking about ways to support them, those of you that are graduating particularly. And I hope everyone's well, trying to stay positive, and I hope that we will come out of this stronger than before. Thank you.
I teach community-based theater, intro to acting for the non-major, and other courses. But let's see, how am I doing? How am I dealing with the quarantine? Well, I'm super lucky because I get to work from home and do work that is meaningful to me, and that means working with you all. So I'm really grateful for that, and I don't take it for granted at all that I am lucky enough to have my family near me, to have my basic needs met, and have a safe place to live. So I'm super grateful. And when I start feeling bad, because we all start feeling that way during this crazy time. When I feel bad about the people who don't have their basic needs met, who don't have enough to eat, who don't have a safe place to live, who are either sick or losing people or losing their jobs, all the things that so many of our students and people are dealing with all over the world. When I start feeling like that, I have a few things that I do to try to refocus myself. For one thing, I just focus on what can I do, because I feel bad sometimes about what I can't, a lot of times about what I can't do to help everybody. But I guess my contributions can be with my students and with my colleagues and with the people I love. So I do that. And I do things like I read, for example, that really do help during the pandemic, which is I get up every day, I make my bed, I get dressed in comfy clothes. They're comfy, but I try not to be in pajamas all day, every day, because that is just a bummer. And then I try to attack the things that I want to get done that day. And a lot of times, if they're not time sensitive, if they don't have to do with work or my students or teaching, those things get moved from one day to the next, because time and space in the pandemic is elusive to me. But I give myself a break. And I also really trust my gut. When I have the flexibility, I listen. When I need a break, I take it. And I hope you all do that too, because it's really important. Silver lining to this cloud of the pandemic that brings so much rain in terms of challenges to so many people. But the silver lining is that it's created more need and more space for me to connect individually with students and people than I would normally have during a semester. And I've gotten the honor of talking with, on the phone or through Zoom, with so many of my students about what's going on with them. Maybe I can listen, and maybe I can offer a few resources, because the university's been great about trying to figure out how to meet the needs of all of our students. So that's really incredible, a privilege for me. And some of the other things that I get to do for me that help is my tips are I limit my exposure to COVID information. I do it like once a day. It's important to have the facts. It's important to hear the science and to hear what's going on, but I do it like once a day, and I don't overdo it. I turn off social media after a while. Same thing, it can bum me out. Sometimes to see pictures of cats and animals, and that can make me happy, and babies. But if it's not making me happy, I turn it off. And I also reach out to people, to friends, to family, to students, to colleagues, to anybody, and connect, because connection is super important and really healing, and it makes me happy. I just want to take the chance to say thank you to all of you, because really, truly, getting to be an instructor at Cal Poly and be a part of that community is such a gift, pandemic or no. And you let me into your lives. I learned so much. I know it sounds like a cliche that teachers say, that we learn more. I really am happy sharing my passions with you, but I'm super grateful to be learning from you. We're such an incredibly wonderful community, and diversity of socioeconomic diversity, ethnic diversity, gender, sexuality diversity. We have so many different amazing people in our community, and I learn from you every single day. So I want to thank you for that, and I want to just remind you that no matter how bad it gets at any time, we can only ever do this moment right here. And someday we're going to look back, and this is going to be over. It'll be in the past. It'll be a great story to tell, a sad story sometimes, an amazing story, and we'll be able to talk about what we learned from this time. So I just want to remind you that you're not alone, that we're here for you. We care about you. We love you. We think you're beautiful. And thank you for sharing your beautiful selves with us. And we'll see you soon.